Hi, folks. Welcome to today's webinar. Today we're chatting about what's new in Purview Endpoint DLP. Today I will be joined by several of my colleagues. My name is Vivian Ma. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Purview DLP. I'll pass it off to, can everyone hear me? Sorry, folks. Okay, perfect. My name is Vivian Ma. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Purview DLP, and I will pass it off to Shaker to introduce himself as well.
Hey, everyone. My name is Shaker Palta. I'm a Principal Product Manager in Microsoft Purview, and I lead product for Endpoint DLP. Super excited to be here. Endpoint DLP is one of the key areas of investments for Microsoft Purview. It continues to be, and we have a bunch of innovations and new capabilities that we have launched in the last 6 months, and we want to take you through each of those capabilities. We'll talk about a few interesting ones. We'll deep dive into a few demos as well. So in terms of the new capabilities, we are going to talk about these new capabilities across 3 major pillars. The first one is expanding protections beyond Microsoft 365, be it building capabilities for platforms like Mac, or expanding to new file types beyond just M365, Office, and PDF. Next, we will talk about admin experiences, new and improved admin experiences to manage your security posture, as well as for rich investigations for Endpoint DLP, alerts and matches. Next, we will dive into how have we strengthened our classification platform, as well as improved our existing protections that you can put in place across your digital estate, across all of your devices with Endpoint DLP. With that, let's dive right in. So with the first pillar, I want to start with the first capability which you see on your screen, which is advanced label-based protection for non-Office files. This is a key capability that allows you to really democratize the use of labels with encryption across your organization for files sitting on your endpoint devices. When end users in your organization apply labels with encryption on your endpoint devices, those files will continue to exist in their original form, which ensures that your end users can continue to be productive. But at the same time, when these files, labeled and protected files, leave outside the perimeter of your endpoint device, the respective encryption will be put in place and the appropriate P file will be created before these files are egressed out. This capability ensures that you can put in place the right controls for a seamless productivity without compromising your security controls. The next capability I want to talk about is towards the bottom of your screen, towards the bottom left, which is expanded file type coverage for Endpoint DLP. This is again a key investment which brings the file type support as well as the extraction limits that we support for Endpoint DLP, and brings it at parity with what we have in Cloud DLP. And it enables the one file, one behavior principle across workloads. This is really important because it expands the number of files that we used to support for Endpoint DLP from close to 40 file types to more than 110 file types now, which we can break open and scan. I'll not talk about each and every capability that we have launched for Mac OS devices, but Mac OS continues to be a key area of focus for Endpoint DLP, and you can see that there are a host of new capabilities that we have launched for Mac OS devices, which have also been launched previously for Windows. Now, moving on to the second pillar, which is simplifying management and investigations, I want to draw your attention to the first one in that list, which is collection policies. This is a key capability for admins to ensure that you can put in place the right controls to effectively monitor and scan only the specific sensitive information types and activities that you want to monitor. This really enables you as admins to reduce the noise. As a financial organization, as an example, you would not be interested to look at PHI or health records as sensitive types within your organization. You can effectively choose exactly what sensitive information types as well as activities on endpoint devices that you want to track, and all of those scoped signals will be available in your management dashboard. Next, I want to talk about full file evidence. This is a key capability that we have continued to focus our investments on. Full file evidence is a tool for admins or for analysts in your organization to review the full file as evidence as they investigate endpoint DLP matches and DLP alerts. We had customer managed storage available, which ensured that the full file evidence as we find sensitive files on endpoint devices can be stored in a storage location of the customer's choice. We have expanded that support to now also support Microsoft managed storage, which means you do not need to provide your own storage for storing these files anymore, and you can continue to use out of the box Microsoft managed storage for storing these files and making them available as your analyst investigate your DLP alerts. Next, I want to talk about short evidence for all monitored files. This is again something that a capability that we have just launched very recently, announced very recently during Microsoft Secure, and this enables collection of short evidence. Now, let me take a moment to just quickly explain what short evidence means. Short evidence is basically the ability for us to show you, as you investigate your DLP alerts, to show you exactly what sensitive types, exactly what content in your documents matched your detection criteria in a DLP policy. And it shows you the snippet of the sensitive information along with surrounding characters. This enables you to quickly understand how sensitive information was used within the document and in what context. This, along with full file evidence, gives you full visibility into exactly what sensitive information was present in the document, and you can take the appropriate remediation actions. In addition to short evidence for all monitored files, by the way, this was only available, short evidence was only available for a few file types, which is Office and PDF files, but now we have expanded them to more than 110 file types that we just talked about. Next, I want to draw your attention to another really interesting capability, which I'm sure a lot of you will like, which is always on diagnostics. I'm sure a lot of you have raised support cases with perceived issues on endpoint DLP, and the next steps for us to investigate has always been to collect logs from your end user devices and make them available for our investigations. With always on diagnostics, we are now collecting. Once you turn this capability on in your admin dashboard, we will now start collecting critical diagnostic data from your onboarded endpoint devices. And if and when you raise support cases, all you have to do is provide us those logs, and we will be able to get started with the investigation. This eliminates the need for you to reproduce those scenarios again for our investigation. Now let's jump into the third pillar, which is strengthening classification and protections. The first one I want to talk about is device-based policy scoping. So today in endpoint DLP, when you create your DLP policies, you can scope your DLP policies and target your DLP policies by users. With this capability, you can now start using devices as well as device groups as an additional scoping criteria for your DLP policies. And this is really critical as we speak to our customers. There are a lot of scenarios where you have certain kiosk devices or vendor devices that have a specific risk profile that you want to protect against. Now you can use this capability to target your DLP policies by devices rather than users. And you can even combine the two together as you define your endpoint DLP policies. Next, I want to talk about another critical capability that we'll dive into a quick demo for as well during the call, which is on-demand classification on Windows. What this capability allows you to do is to really discover. Now, there could be a host of files that have not been made visible to endpoint DLP so far, and a lot of content might be existing across your endpoint devices. What this capability allows you to do is to run an on-demand scan on Windows devices, and allows you to discover what kind of sensitive content really exists within your endpoint devices, and allows you to put in place the right protection controls informed by the scans that you've run and the discovery that you've made of sensitive data. Next, I do want to talk about blanket protections for non-supported file types as well. So we just talked about a little while back about our expanded file support to more than 110 file types. What happens if there is sensitive content present in file types other than these 110 file types? This capability allows you to put in place blanket protections for non-supported file types. As an example, there could be some organizations over here where CAD files are sensitive by default, and you want to put in place the right protection controls to ensure your CAD files are not leaked out. With this capability, you can do exactly that. Next, I want to talk about another really interesting capability, which is App Allow List. For quite some time, we have had a capability available in Endpoint DLP using which you can designate your unallowed apps, which means there are certain apps within your organization that are not allowed to access files containing sensitive data. Now, this capability effectively supports the vice versa, the reverse scenario as well. You can now designate apps that are allowed within your organization to access sensitive content, and any other app when it starts and any other app will not be allowed to access files containing sensitive content. Now, this is especially useful for organizations that are in highly regulated industries, where you want to really precisely control what are the apps that you want to put in place within your organization that are allowed to access sensitive content. All right, that brings me to the end of the introduction to talk about the key investments, and now we'll jump to the favorite part of this AMA, which is some really interesting demos. So with that, let me hand it over to Nick, who will talk about, who will take you or walk you through the demo for collection policies.
Awesome. Thank you, Shekhar. Great overview. So yeah, we'll be talking about collection policies. To get us started, let's go ahead and first go back to an opportunity. If we proceed to the next slide, an opportunity presented with the always audit file feature activity with devices today. So today that feature allows you to capture all the audit events that are going on these devices from a file perspective. And what we heard from customers is that it really was too noisy. We needed additional configuration options and a little bit too taxing on the devices themselves. So for granularity, think about the ability to scope auditing activities for US-based employees only, or for noise, some organizations have specific SIT or activities that get captured excessively, like conflating account numbers with an Australia driver's license number, for instance. If we go to the next slide, So on this screen, we're going to be under data loss prevention. Under classifiers is a brand new screen for our collection policies. This specific feature will provide signals and data for Purview solutions at the tenant level. So think of other modules like IRM, data lifecycle management, activity explorer, which all need to be informed of what sits are classified and what activities are collected. If we go to the next slide. So here we're going to go ahead and create our first collection policy, and it should be noted that we have a brand new app picker or location experience here that's a little bit different than we've had in the past. So once we've entered our name for our collection policy, we'll find that our conditions are now on a separate screen by themselves, and we have 4 options to choose from. So we can select our sits under content contains. We can designate whether a document or a file is going to be greater or less than a specific size, and we can specify a specific file extension that we'd want to audit for. If we go to the next, we see the activities. So again, we're separating these into their own little screens, so that makes it easier to create these policies. So we'll go ahead on this screen and select all the various activities that would be in scope for our collection policy. And then on the next, we will go ahead and choose under data sources. This basically allows us to scope in our users and our groups and essentially the scope for these policies themselves. So if we go in and click edit scope on our device's data source, we now get the option to scope in or out or select all users and groups. So this is a new feature that previously was not there that provides that granularity that we were speaking about earlier. And once we've done that, we can now see on screen that we have one included instead of the all on the scope. Once we're done creating our collection policy, we'll be sent to the review panel where we can review all the settings. We can go back and edit anything that we need to do. And then once this policy is created, we'll see some recommendations from our other modules recommending to maybe monitor this activity or create another collection policy. And then once we've set our policy, we've allowed for some time for these policies to reach the devices, some activities have occurred, we can view these activities in Activity Explorer. And so we won't see all of the activities like we saw before with the Always Audit On feature file for devices. Now it'll just be scoped to whatever our collection policies have scoped them to be. So again, reducing the noise, providing the additional configuration and granularity, while also providing a new experience that's a little easier to use. So that's collection policies, a new horizontal that allows you to view your audit events on endpoint DLP. Thank you.
Nick. With that, let's now dive into a quick demo for another critical capability, which is on-demand classification. And I'll hand it over to Akash to take you through it.
Hey, thanks, Shekhar, Nick. So, hello, everyone. My name is Akash Malhotra, and I'm a senior product manager on the Purview DLP team as well. Today, we'll be talking about on-demand classification for devices. So, on-demand classification is something we announced for SharePoint and OneDrive a couple of months back, and it has received very positive response. We are now extending the same capability to devices as well, starting with Windows. This will enable you to scan devices for sensitive information which has not been touched or has not yet come into the scope of collection policies like Nick was demonstrating. Once this dark data is discovered, it will help you meet your regulatory or compliance needs, as well as also inform your organization's data security posture. So let's look at how the experience works. On-demand classification, similar to collection policies, is available under the classifier section in most Purview solutions, including DLP, as this screenshot shows. Once you click on defining a new scan, you can give it a name. Let's say we are looking for files which are older than new 2 years for sensitive information. We can then define which users to target. Similar to endpoint DLP, you can target scan by users and groups. As part of the Purview device onboarding flow, users already map to their respective devices. You can select specific users and groups, and then you can further define or target the scan limit by a particular last modified time range, or even some particular file types. For example, maybe you only want to scan Office and PDF file types for a particular time range. You can define that as well. Review the scan details and then submit. So when you define a scan and submit, every scan will first go into an estimation mode, similar to what we have for SharePoint and OneDrive. This estimation is free of charge, and the goal is to come up with scope of how many files, how many devices, and what cost it will come out to be. Once the estimation is complete, this is how the report comes back to in terms of number of devices, number of items. And then once you are ready to start, the cost looks good, you can click Start Classification and go into actual classification. So the files that were previously estimated now actually get evaluated for sensitive information. And this is how the classification report looks like, where apart from the scan progress, we also show some summary on insights like what are the top sensitive information we are finding, which users have the most sensitive information, as well as which devices where we are finding this. You can further double click into this with an items to review experience that we have, where you can go into each file and then drill down into what device, what user, what data was found. This can be further exported into a report from the experience, and the same data is also available via audit search and management activity API to integrate into your custom workflows or reports for you to deep dive further and then define your data protection posture accordingly. Back to you, Shekhar.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Akash. This is a really exciting capability. I know a lot of customers have been using this for SharePoint and OneDrive and are getting ready to deploy this for your endpoint devices as well. All right, perfect. And with that, let me now pass on the mic to Henry, who will take you through a demo for another really exciting capability that we talked about, which is advanced label-based protections.
Yeah, this is Henry. I'm also working on the endpoint DLP. I'm here to introduce the advanced label-based protections. So currently, when you use label for non-Office PDF files, the file will become P file or P test, and then the end user will not be able to update the file, will not be able to use native app to open the file. Okay, it will badly impact the productivity. This feature will extend the label protection to all files without impacting any productivity. It will extend the label and also associated protections to file types beyond Office and PDF files. If you use this feature to apply label to TXT file, the file will still remain in TXT format. You can still update the file, use our native app to access the file. This feature will ensure protections travel with files as the file is being egressed from the device. The moment you egress the file, for example, you copy the file to USB, we will immediately automatically encrypt the file. The file will become P file, P test format, so the protection is still there. This feature will ensure secure collaboration. So if multiple people using the same file update the same file, the protection will be all there. Okay. In the next few slides, I will show you how to use this feature. I will do a demo to show how to use this feature label to protect files. Okay. For example, a project Obsidian. Multiple people joined the project Obsidian. In this case, okay, step one is enable this feature. It is very simple. Just go to the endpoint DLP setting pages, select this checkbox and scope the scope to the users or user group. Okay, that's it. It's very simple. Now, in next few slides, I will show the end user experience. As end user, for example, Henry scoped in this feature. Now Henry can use this feature to apply label. Use the AIP app, Information Protection app, to assign label to non-Office PDF files. In this case, I'm using TXT file. After I assign the label, the file will still remain in TXT format. I can still open the TXT file using Notepad or Notepad++. The productivity, no impact. Okay. Next slide. Okay. As end user, okay, as a project part or object, project Obsidian, multiple people joined this project. Now I need, after I finish this file, I need to share this file with other people. I drag drop this file to USB in this case. You can also other case, a cloud app or network share, other case, same thing. Okay. In this case, I will show. So immediately, the moment the file land on the USB, we will encrypt the file. The file will become P file format. You can see. Okay. So the protection is still there. Okay. Even the file leave the device. Okay. Next slide. And as a teammate, I received this file. Now you can see I received this file. I open this file through native app, Notepad in this case. I updated this file. I try to print this file. But the label associated with this file indicated that I, as end user, I don't have permission to print this file. Immediately, endpoint DLP will block the print activity with a toast, and the protection is, you can see the protection is there. Okay. Next slide. Okay. So with all the protections, now as admin, and I can see all the events reportings to see who is using this feature to leakage. For example, try to leakage the project Obsidian data. In this case, I will show the USB case, a file copied to removable USB device. So in this case, you can see Henry copied a file project Obsidian test file to USB, but the file is in TXT format. It is still in encrypted, still protected. Next slide. So you can see, we also show the file path, SHA file, all the information. We also show the device name. So for the admin to do the investigation purpose. Okay. So that is the whole feature. Yeah. Shika, back to you.
Thank you so much. This is really interesting. With the demo, Henry demonstrated how you can use this capability to ensure seamless productivity for your end users through the fact that we keep an encrypted file in its original form as long as it is inside your device, the end user's device, but at the same time, protections are put in place as soon as the file egresses out from the perimeter of the device. I think this is again another favorite part of this call, which is the AMA. We are going to dive right into the Ask Me Anything section. We have experts over here that are excited to answer any questions you might have. I would request you all to please use the tech community page to post all of your questions, and Vivian over here will help pick out those questions and ask them to the presenters here.
Perfect. Thank you, Shaker. So I believe our first question that came in through the AMA event page, and like Shaker said, please continue to drop in your questions, is around reporting. So the first question is, coming from a Purview perspective, it seems that Microsoft Defender for Endpoint logs in Sentinel, but Purview logs in the Activity Explorer. How do we blend these two solutions to get effective reporting through tools such as Power BI?
Yeah, that's a great question. So by the way, I do want to address this in two parts. The MD logs are available in Defender, and they can also be exported out to Sentinel through the Sentinel connector. We have also in the past made sure that all our Purview logs are also available, not just in Activity Explorer, but also in Defender. And you can use the inbuilt connectors to also bring them in your SIEM solutions, including Sentinel. With Sentinel, we of course have a native connector that is available that you can continue to use to ensure that your logs are available in Sentinel. At the same time, you can also continue to use our Graph API that is available in Defender to pull all of these logs to an external system of your choice. Traditionally, we have also had Office 365 Management Activity API that you can continue to leverage for pulling all your Purview logs, including your DLP matches, as well as your logs related to any of your Office 365 workloads, like Exchange, SharePoint, as well as endpoint devices. Hope that answers the question. Anyone else who would want to add here? Okay, perfect.
Oh, you are muted.
DB, you are mute.
I think. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, folks. It looks like we have a few questions around the new collection policies capability as well that Nick demoed for us today. So I'll start with Nick, but we'll open up to the group as well. How does collection policies help reduce some of that noise that customers previously saw within Activity Explorer? And are there plans to expand the scope of collection policies beyond just endpoint devices?
Yeah, thank you. So I'll answer the second part first, which is we're always looking for feedback. So if you're seeing something missing, please let us know. We're always looking to capture that and prioritize. But yes, we are in the first phase of this new horizontal. So we definitely are going to be adding to the scope and the breadth of collection policies. There's opportunities both in the reporting and the actual functionality. So yes. As we look to our next planning cycle, that's top of mind. And then how does it reduce noise? So we mentioned earlier that, with the always audit feature for files, it's very noisy. It collects everything. So with this feature, we can now filter out a lot of that noise, and you can focus on the specific, whether it sits, file types, size of files, that you'd want to focus on. That way you're not seeing all of that activity in Activity Explorer. So it really reduces and helps folks focus on what they need to audit for.
Great.
Gary, I'll just quickly sort of add a comment here. I think Nick explained it really well. With respect to noise, I think a very good example that we have heard from customers is customers in a specific industry are only looking to scan and discover sensitive information types that are pertaining to their industry, right? And I gave an example of a financial institution, or let's take the example of let's say a hospital who's using Microsoft Purview to protect their sensitive data. Now, they would be interested in PHI, your health records, your health information of your patients. You might not necessarily be interested in credit card information like financial institutions might, right? So you can precisely define exactly what classifiers, what sensitive information types do you want Purview to discover by default across your endpoint devices, and only those signals will be available for you in your Activity Explorer, in your DLP match logs, and your audit streams.
Awesome. Thank you, Shekhar. Another question coming in here is, we mentioned our new solution that allows folks to store the full file for evidence as part of DLP investigations. Can we leverage our own storage solution for full file evidence?
Yes, absolutely. You can. As I said, we already had the option for you starting last year, sometime last year, available, where you could provide your own managed storage where we would store full file evidence or copies of files as we discover sensitive content, or as we match new DLP policies across your endpoint devices. You can continue to leverage that option. That option is still available. In addition to that option, you can now also say, hey, Microsoft, I don't want to do the management overhead. Why don't you store the files in your own storage and make them available as and when I investigate my endpoint DLP alerts?
Great. Next question is, you mentioned that the P file format would apply if the file left the endpoint. This is in reference to the advanced label-based protections. What if the user transfers a file to an on-prem file share or SharePoint? Ideally, we will only want the P file modification if the file egresses from our environment.
I can take that one. So the short answer to your question is yes. Currently, the V1 currently, when you move the file, label the file to a file share, for example, network share or cloud app or USB, any place egress leave the device, we will encrypt the file. The file will become P file P test format. Okay, but if you are already using our endpoint DLP, you know we have complete solution for allowed network share group, USB group, or cloud domain group, right? So if you really think that is a gap, please send us the request, try this feature and send us the request. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would like to add to this great explanation by Henry. Now, it is important to understand what this capability allows you to do, right? Earlier, let's take a scenario where, by the way, you could create a P file, you could label using the AIP client present on the Windows endpoint device. You could have used that to create apply a label to a text file, for example, or for any file for that matter, any non-Office PDF file for that matter. But what it used to do was it used to create a P file right then and there, right? So by the way, now what this capability does is, because we are present, endpoint DLP is present as a part of the kernel on the endpoint device itself, we have the intelligence to understand that it is a P file. We have the intelligence to put in place all the protection controls that come with the label, and at the same time have the file in its original form, right? So basically what this allows you to do is continue to use the AIP client to put a label which has an encryption template associated with it, but you will now no longer see that file getting converted to a P file. It will still be in its original form, which ensures seamless productivity for your end users. All protections that come with the label will continue to apply through the power of endpoint DLP. And when this file goes outside the perimeter, where endpoint DLP is not present, so going into a USB device, uploading it to a cloud, anywhere outside the perimeter, will continue to apply continue to apply the label encryption and create a P file before it egresses out.
Great. Thank you, Shekhar. All right. We have another question around application allow listing. So this next question asks, how does app allow listing work with browser-based or web applications? And can we define rules based on the application version?
Henry,
do you want to take that, or I can go ahead?
Yeah. So app allow list. I believe you are talking about the create a policy, say, for this app version that allow this sensitive data, but if it is old version, app version, block accessing the sensitive data. I believe you are talking about that feature. So currently, our feature is based on the app executable name. So it's entire app. You can create. We allows you to have a global unallowed app list or an app group. So per policy for different sensitive types, predicate number, SSN number, you can have for different app group. You can have different enforcement, different protection. You can even say block everything but allow specific apps. But it's currently the existing capability doesn't cover the app version. Okay, so that is not and also it is interesting for us to understand why you have what app, specific app you are you want us to cover the app version. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also love to add more. Here is how you should think about this, right? When we think about app allow list or unallowed apps or allowed apps, we're always thinking about apps that are running on your devices, right? So when you specify your groups of apps, and this is how you can operationalize, right? You create your groups of apps. You can say that for a particular DLP policy where you have defined your detection criteria, I want to ensure that a certain group of apps is either restricted to access sensitive content that meets the detection criteria or allowed to access the sensitive content, right? When we think about exfiltration through the browser, we have different controls that are available. So today, when you think about data or sensitive data exfiltrating to the browser, you have the ability to specify, that is already available today, to specify your groups of service domains, right? So or URLs that you can create and say, hey, I have a group of my corporate SharePoint sites, which are the right places where I would want my end users to upload and download sensitive data from, and these group of URLs should be allowed to upload sensitive content, while let's say a group of social media websites is where I would want to start blocking, right? So you can continue to use service domains and service domain groups to enforce that kind of protection. Another protection that is available today that you can use for preventing exfiltration of sensitive content through the browser is your paste to browser controls that are already available in endpoint DLP. And again, you can continue to use your service domain groups to define exactly which set of URLs you would want to allow pasting of sensitive data into the browser, right? And these browser controls on Windows are available across all major browsers, Edge, where we are natively integrated, Chrome, as well as Firefox. So you can imagine an end user taking sensitive content from a sensitive file and pasting it into a browser. We detect that paste as an action. We scan the content of the clipboard, the paste that is happening, and if there is sensitive content, we block that paste from happening. Right, so you can continue to leverage these controls to prevent exfiltration through the browser. In addition to this, by the way, we will also leave a few resources that you can continue to use and learn more about capabilities that we are launching across the browser and network, including the ability for you to put in place the right controls through the Edge browser to detect typed content to detect and prevent typed content going to your sort of SaaS apps, including specific top of mind Gen AI apps as well.
Great. Yes. Like Shaker said, we will be providing some helpful resources for all of you to either get started or catch up on some of the recent announcements at the end of today's AMA. Until then, we do have another question around the on-demand classification capability. So I'll start with Akash. Again, everyone feel free to hop in. For advanced classification, what types of files are supported and what advanced classification methods might be supported for that capability?
Yeah, so on-demand classification from the start will support all of the 100 file types that we support, and all of those file types will support advanced classification as well, including EDM, fingerprint, ML, the whole suite, right? I think this question is coming from the limitation we previously had on endpoint DLP side, where Office and PDF were the only file types supported for advanced classification. But as Shekhar shared on the roadmap slide, that limitation no longer exists for DLP as well, and supported file types can be extended. In case of on-demand classification as well, the supported file types for advanced classification are basically all of them.
Great. And one more question on on-demand classification. Is this capability the best capability to use for applying DLP protection on cold data?
Okay, so that's an interesting one. I think, so to be clear, on-demand classification scans are not required for DLP protection, and there is no interplay between both. DLP today can protect the whole data suite, including hot and cold data. We have had just-in-time protection available for a couple of years now, which ensures protection of cold data as well. So on-demand classification is not needed for protection.
Great. I think that actually brings us to the end of submitted questions so far. We do have a little bit of time left, so if you do have any additional questions, we are happy to continue answering them. But until then, happy to share some of those resources that we were mentioning earlier, helpful links for you to get started, as well as reading up on many of the new announcements from Microsoft Secure and RSA over the past few months. So we will share those with all of you. And yeah, if there are no more questions, thank you everyone again for joining today's Microsoft Purview DLP AMA. We are sure that we'll be doing some of these in the future as well. So appreciate everyone joining us today. Please keep the feedback and questions coming. And yeah, we're excited to continue sharing all of the progress with you all.